whatever episode of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine, on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest. And you can find show notes for this episode and all corresponding numbered episode threads on the This Old Knit Ravelry group. So welcome to all new viewers and welcome back to returning viewers. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm probably a week, maybe 2 weeks late on recording this, and I'm not sure how this is going to go, this situation. But it's dark. So the sun is going down. It is Tuesday, October 8th. And my husband and Megwin have gone to jujitsu, so it is me and Joshua. My apologies, I have something going on with my tongue, so when I tried to say S's, they sound a little bit weird, at least to me. Maybe it's fine to you, but I feel very mushy-mouthed right now, like so yeah. Last time I podcast, this is going to be way too hot to drink. I don't know why I'm even holding it. Last time I podcast, I was getting ready to go on a trip for work to Ohio, and I was going to extend that and visit my family, so I was able to do that, and it just so happened that that weekend was also Wool Gathering, which is a festival, a fiber festival held every year at Young's Jersey Dairy in Yellow Springs, Ohio. It's kind of near where I grew up, so familiar stomping grounds for me, and is actually the first fiber festival. No, that's a lie. It's not the first one I ever attended, because I learned how to knit when I lived in California. So the first fiber festival I attended was actually Stitches West, which was completely overwhelming, but very fun. I went with a couple of friends and it was great. So it also helped me learn how to deal with fiber festivals of I have a method of going through and seeing everything, and then just if there's something that I really feel like I need to get, I'll pick that up. Otherwise I go kind of all around first, and then I go back and get the things I've decided that I want. I'm also getting over a cold. Coming back from Ohio, I was getting quite sick. I ended up being sick the whole next week. I had to take off of work. Well, I didn't really take off. I kind of worked from home because I don't want to share the love of all of the germs. And I suggest if you have that ability to work from home, you should be kind to your coworkers and do the same. Obviously, I appreciate that not everyone has that ability or privilege to be able to work from home, but I try to be courteous to my fellow teammates since I do have that ability. Yeah, too hot. So anyway, just started feeling better the tail end of last weekend, and then now I'm in full on prepare my home for Rhinebeck and guests. I will be having probably 3 people visiting. I have at least one friend I know of who's flying in, so she's definitely coming. And then most likely my sister and my niece as well. So we'll be hosting 3 people, and they'll be staying for, a couple of days. So that'll be really fun. And I am excited about that. But I need to clean. So I got kind of all of the stuff out of my office, because that's where all of the things landed that we didn't really know what to do with after we moved. So now that stuff that we still don't know what to do with, or we don't have a place for yet, is down in the storage room, because my husband is going to build me shelving in my office to go along one whole wall, and then we're also going to have a Murphy bed in there, which is one of those beds that folds down out of the wall, so that we can have a dedicated guest room, but it's not only dedicated to having guests, because we don't host people very frequently, maybe a couple times a year, and then the rest of the time it can just be my office. So basically there's a lot to get done. I finished the whole upstairs. I just need to do like one final run through of Joshua's room. So if everybody comes, then I will have some air mattresses up in his room set up. He'll sleep with Megwin in her room, and then my office will have another air mattress in it as another bedroom. And then we have 2.5 baths, so plenty of space for everybody to be able to take showers and all that. But you don't care about that. You came here for knitting. So fair warning, this is actually, for me, a fairly knitting light podcast episode. I just have been really focusing on getting my Rhinebeck sweater done. So I've been fairly monogamous on knitting that, and I'm actually almost done. But I do have quite a few acquisitions because they've been sort of trickling in throughout this whole period, which is almost 4 weeks now since I've podcast last. Some things were gifts from people. Some things, like I got my Woolen Vine club, the Gothic literature themed club, and I never showed any of those skeins. So I now have completed that club. So it was a 3-month club. I have all 3 skeins, and I've never shown them on the podcast. So I remembered that. So I wanted to show you that and talk about maybe some of the things I might make with that yarn. And then I did get some stuff while I was in Ohio as well. So yeah, so if you have your beverage of choice, or just some knitting or crochet or weaving or spinning or whatever you do while you watch my my wacky podcast, try not to use the word crazy as much, because I realize that there's some negative connotations to that. I don't really want to, with all of the talk about mental health and mental health awareness, I want to make sure that I'm being sensitive to that. So my wacky zany podcast. I am drinking some yogi tea. It's the Egyptian licorice, so it's non-caffeinated, but I do have some honey in it because, as I said, my throat is still not completely recovered yet. I have a lingering cough, but otherwise I'm pretty much better. I don't have any of the nose junk anymore, which is good. So I'm drinking it out of my Memphis mug, which is one of the Starbucks You Are Here, the classic version, not the new version. I don't like those as much. There are a few I've seen that I do like, but for the most part, I preferred this series, and I have a crap ton of mugs now. Part of the problem, I think, is that behind me I have a candle burning, so it's actually showing up as like this giant glow. It's a pumpkin marshmallow candle. It's one of those big 3-wick candles, and I really love it. So I was super excited. It combines 2 of my favorite things, pumpkin and marshmallows, into one marvelous candle. So I am burning that for a little bit of festiveness. Yeah. I have one more acquisition over there, and I didn't bring it. I can show you next time. It might actually be strung up here. So this is my bay window. It is in my craft room. Usually I'm over there on that wall, and I've got my yarn baskets in one corner, but the lamp is just over there, and the couch is behind you. But I'm typically tucked up into that little corner, and I kind of rotate it a little bit to maybe try to take advantage of the rest of the light before it's gone. And I thought you might like to see, this is my view out of my craft room on one side, and then the front, I have 2 more windows, and they're also overlooking, I just have forest all around me. So this room is very calming and soothing, and I love it. I also am keeping my voice down a little bit because Joshua is asleep on the couch. Hopefully I'll be able to adjust the volume in editing. Last time I discovered that within Microsoft Photos, there is a secret hidden video editor that is the newer version of Microsoft Movie Maker, which is what I've been using for all the years I've done my podcast. It was a really great tool. It was very intuitive. The only thing I haven't figured out is how to add like still photos and music. So that's why I haven't had my theme music or kind of the intro photos for my kids. I usually like to do a little montage of the different things I've done since the last podcast. And I haven't been able to do that. So it's kind of bumming me out. I need to figure that out before Vlogmas because I love having music in Vlogmas. That is like one of my favorite things. And I love like speeding up the video and showing you little vignettes of different things, set to music. I think that's cool. Otherwise it's going to be kind of boring and you're just going to see me in real time, which isn't as fun as 20 times sped up Nina. Regular Nina is slow. Much slower than I wish I was. Yeah, so let's jump into the knitting, which I put my acquisitions on top of. So first things first, the thing I've been talking about, my Rhinebeck sweater. I am working on the Winterfjell yoke, and it is a pattern by Ellie, who's Skandir and who has the Skandir Knits podcast. And I am knitting it out of 3 colors of tuku wool. The first color is Uyo. The reddish color is Kayo. And the cream color is Sake. So I'll bring it closer so you can see. Uyo is a mauvey gray marled yarn. And Kayo is like a burgundy color. And then Sake is like a creamy color. It's undyed. They're all Finnish wool, I believe. Tuku wool is Finnish. And as you can see, I have most of it done. I have the yoke done. I actually have 1 whole sleeve done. The only reason the needles are still on there is because I want to try it on after I've grafted the underarm, so I can see if that takes it up anymore. I want to have it sort of over my hand because I'm knitting this to be my sweater that I wear when I'm walking outside. Yeah, I want to make sure that it's actually going to be something that's cozy and kind of comes down over my hand a little bit, and then it will also seal if I have mittens on, and then the sweater cuff over it. So anyway, I want to have a long cuff. So this is how long my cuff is right now. It pretty much goes over my hand right now, but like I said, I want to see if it takes it up any at all once I graft the underarm. So Winterfjell is like there's short rows on the back. Bring the neck up a bit. The whole body is knit. And I'm working on my second arm. And as you can eyeball, I'm pretty darn close on my second arm as well. So I anticipate I probably will be done with the arm this evening, or at least down to the cuff portion of the sweater this evening. I did think I was going to run out of yarn. So I panic ordered, to coin a phrase from Kristen, 2 skeins of tuku wool, because I thought 1 skein of tuku wool wasn't really worth the postage because it isn't enough to get the free shipping from the Woolly Thistle. I got all the yarn from the Woolly Thistle, and I am actually entering this into the Woolly Thistle sweater cow for 2019. And it is essentially knitting a sweater in about a month and a half. So the starting point was, I think, August 23rd was the cast on date, and then you need to have it done by Rhinebeck. So I definitely am going to have to have it done. The yarn needs to be at least 80% purchased from the Woolly Thistle. So I ordered 2 more skeins of tuku wool, but I'm not going to need it. So I have this much left of the ball I'm working on with this sleeve. obviously I'm almost down to the cuff, and I actually have a bit, it's tucked into the arm, so I didn't have two sets of yarn dangling from it, but I have quite a bit of the yarn for this side, and I'm done with the arm, so I think I'm going to be fine, and I didn't need any more yarn, but I was scared to death that I was going to run out of yarn, and then it would be a week before Rhinebeck, and I do not have anywhere local that stocks toque wool, so I would not have been able to get yarn here in time from New Hampshire, which is where the woolly thistle is. It's not far from me, really, but I'm sure that Corrine has her own things to do, and I didn't know if she'd be closing the shop the week of Rhinebeck. Anyway, I didn't want to risk it. So now I have extra skeins of toque wool. They may be a prize for the next quarter's Stash Your Shelf Challenge, or for the fall cal. I don't know. Fall make-along, sorry. Because I am also hosting a make-along for fall. I announced that on the last podcast. I did never hear back from Anna, so I'm assuming that it's just mine, but obviously if there's other podcasts that are hosting fall make-alongs that you want to enter your things into, you're welcome to do so. If they have pumpkins on them or are pumpkin themed, you can enter them in the Pumpkin Mal, which is being co-hosted by Gabby and Joanne from Stitching the High Notes. So Gabby's from Once Upon a Corgi, and Joanne is from Stitching the High Notes. And I'm sure there's others out there as well. So anyway, Winterfjell, very fun. I love it. So that is number one. And I actually have that sitting in an acquisition. So Shelly Can was having a clear out sale of all of her stuff from last year's Rhinebeck. And these were bags that she had at last year's Rhinebeck. I couldn't justify, or rather I didn't have the budget to spend as much as the tote bag originally cost. It's well worth it. It's very well made. Nothing at all to say about that, but just, you know, I have a limited funds for India Entangled and Rhinebeck together, and they were back to back. But she was clearing out her Rhinebeck stock from last year to make room for this year's, and she had one of these tote bags. And I'm sure people saw them on other people's podcasts last year, but I really wanted one. I picked it up, I put it down, I picked it up, I put it down, a whole bunch. So now I have it. So it is the 2019 New York Sheep and Wool Festival bag from Shelly Can, and this is actually a map of the fairgrounds where Rhinebeck takes place, which is the Dutchess County Fairgrounds in Rhinebeck, New York. So this part is the hill where people talk about meeting all the time. There are yarn barns. There is an area for seeing animals. And this is like the arena where like the polices get judged and stuff. And then there's an area where there's food. So it says nom nom nom. But it's super well made. It's gigantic. And it has fully lined on both sides so that you could put pins in it if you wanted to. So both sides have these flaps that are covering the front and the back. But I'm using it to put my laptop in for work and like a pattern. So it's really nice. So I bet she's probably going to have them for this year too with this year's design. I highly recommend them. I believe she actually has pre-orders up right now. But it's great for this sweater project is actually quite large. And it doesn't fit in any of my bags right now. And once I finish it, I think probably one of my blankets will go into this. I don't know which one, but that's probably what it's going to hold once I'm done. Okay. The next thing that was something I worked on, and I got a lot of knitting time during my travel and when I was sick because all I could do was lay in bed, but I could knit. So I knit a lot. This is my yellow so faded, and I kind of thought for a while I might get this one done as well and have an indie untangled sweater, but I don't know if I'm going to get it done. So I'm going to have to turn the light on. So. Let's see if that's better. It's really yellow light, so it's probably going to make this look terrible. It's fine. People that I met up with at wool gathering were like, wow, your sweater looks totally different in person. And it really does, because it doesn't pick up all the subtle colors in these really pretty yellows on the camera very well. So anyway, this is the So Faded pattern by Andrea Mowry. It's my third one that I plan to complete. It's my fourth one that I've actually knit, because I started a pink one. No, fifth one. I started a Star Wars themed one with my Pandia's Jewels set, ripped that out, and I started a pink one out of different wool and vine yarns, and I ripped that one out as well when I was most of the way done. So anyway, my top color is Life in the Long Grass in the cushion colorway. My second color is Beaubatons in Bad Wolf Girl Studios yarn. And then I'm actually starting to fade in Adelaide Cottage in I'm Ready to Wallow now. So you can start to see the little speckles of pink. So that's the I'm Ready to Wallow now, which was a Gilmore Girls Club colorway. So I'm about halfway down the body. I'm actually knitting this one a little bit more relaxed of a fit, so I didn't do any waist shaping, and then all the other ones I've done, I've actually done a slight waist shaping based on the same waist shaping as the Honey pullover, or the Honey sweater by Amy Miller. So yep, that's it in a nutshell. I may go back and do the neckline just so that I can put the cushion into my blanket scraps, because that's the last thing I'm going to need that color for with the So Faded pattern. Because of how you knit it, you don't need the first color for the sleeves at all. So yeah, I think I might do that, so that way I don't have to worry about keeping it around, and then I can work the ends in, and it'll be able to try it on once it's done with the body portion. So that's that. And then, oh, I decided on my last color. I had originally said I was going to do Wool and Vine Yarns Fig Bash in Blitz, and I'm actually not, because I decided it's just too dark based on all my other colors. And I've really struggled with that fourth color in this sweater. But what I did decide on, and I showed this before as well, is I'm going to do Fig Bash on Nouveau. And you can see a big difference between how saturated those are. This one is much, much lighter. So I actually had knit this previously into a shawl. It is the Coastline shawl that I knit it into, but it's a really tiny shawlette, and I never wear it, like ever. If I'm reaching for a shawl, that is never the one I pick. So I think I'm gonna frog it, and then I will use the rest of the yarn in this sweater, and I will repurpose the Myth, which is the other color that I had in there in Nouveau, into something else, because it's really pretty blue. They're both beautiful yarns and beautiful colors, and they deserve to be in something that I'm going to use more often. So I'm happy with that choice. I think this really, I mean, look at that. It just goes so much better. It just really fits in with that palette versus that one, just so dark. Yeah. So I need to take this out of the bag. It doesn't even need to be in there anymore. So that is my So Faded. And then what else did I work on? Did Should I work on this sweater? Oh, my mom gave me some yarn, some leftovers from one of her projects. And I said, this would have gone in my So Faded, but I've already got my colors and it would have gone towards the top because it's very lightly speckled, kind of like the cushion. So it's just super light colored with very slight speckling. But I'm going to use it to knit some socks for Megan. Although she's wearing my socks now, like all the time. All of her socks are too tight, and she tried on some of mine and she was like, I like your socks. So now she's just going in there and getting them out of my drawer. It's chaos. I suppose though this is an excuse for me to knit more socks for myself. So I'm just gonna knit them to fit me and then she can borrow them. But yeah, I think with like contrasting heel and toe, those would be really cute socks. There's the socks for Josh that I haven't knit at all on. And the hat for Joshua. This I have made some progress on. He's actually asleep in his coat right now. But his winter coat, his new coat that he got for this year, it's not new, but I went to Once Upon a Child, which is like a used children's clothing store. It's like a store where you can sell your clothes back to the store and then someone else will buy them. So not consignment, but you get money back for clothes that your kids have outgrown and then they can sell them on to other people. But I found some really great stuff there, like stuff where the tags are still on. My guess is like people get too much stuff for holidays or birthdays or things their kids don't want and they don't know where to take them back. But the coats I got for the kids are like new. I mean, there's not anything wrong with them. So Meg and I got a red one and I think it has gray on the inside and it's from like the North Face or Columbia, and Joshua's is an LL Bean coat. They're both like really well insulated coats and his is red with black accents. So they both have red coats. And they were excited about that. So Joshua, I have some little thrummed mittens for him that are red with like dark gray thrums. So I'm making him this hat. It's a sockhead hat. It's a sockhead hat in the Brasada sock yarn, and this colorway is Firefighter. And I'm just making a normal sockhead recipe because he can actually wear my sockhead hats. So my thought was I'm just gonna make it in a size that like anybody could grab. That is one of the things I really love about this pattern, is that it's pretty universally sized. So on the kids, I'm sorry. On the kids, it is a slouchy hat, but on my husband, it's more of a fitted hat. And on me, I can like fold up the brim and then it's a fitted hat, or it can be a little bit slouchy. So I'm knitting it to the same proportions, but I finished the gigantic ribbing and I'm now just on the main body of the hat. So that should be ready fairly soon. I just really haven't put any time in on it because I've been focused on the sweater. So once this sweater is done, I'm gonna work on this and my husband's sweater. More to come on that. I have grand plans, which are very far-fetched, but whatever. And then the last thing that I have to show you, oh yes, my mother gave me another skein of the Knit Picks Felici Sport in Neapolitan. This was also from my Aunt Lynn's stash, so I had 2 skeins of it that I made into socks, and she apparently had another one kicking around. So I might make a pair for Megwin. I don't remember if I have any left over of the other one, but I might be able to do it with contrasting heels and toes and cuffs, or maybe some hand warmers. I don't know. Anyway, my mom was getting rid of stuff. She also gave me like this ball, which I think was leftovers from some socks she made. Like, this is enough to make a pair of socks for me. I usually only use about half a skein of traditional hand-dyed yarn in terms of yardage. Okay, so this is my Madewell. So I did cast on for my Madewell cardigan, but I have not got beyond the cast on. But still, it's good. So this is the Madewell cardigan by Joji Locatelli, and I entered the Joji Fall Cal, but I swear that I fail at that every year. So every year I think, oh, I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then I don't do it. Oh, I forgot my Stoker. Shoot. I'm sorry, Kristen. I will show it next time. I also am test knitting the Stoker shawl by Kristen, who's Woolen Vine. And I'm test knitting, or the pattern has actually been released, but I was test knitting the Warm Breeze cardigan by Pink Hair Girl Knits, and I had a little bit of a setback, so I read the instructions wrong, and I ended up having to rip back like 16 rows of lace weight. And then I got sick and had to travel for work, and so she released the pattern, but it was not any fault of the pattern, and I highly recommend the pattern for all of you. I will definitely be finishing that cardigan. I'm knitting mine out of like that nice deep burgundy lace weight that I showed from Fiber Optic, and I do really want that sweater. So I'm knitting my Madewell out of Octopus Garden, which is a colorway that Kristen no longer dyes, but it is Woolen Vine yarns in the Blitz base, a base she no longer dyes upon. And I think I've shown it before, but it is like one of my favorite colors that she ever dyed. Has pinks and mint and gold, and it is pure magic. So that is going to be my Madewell cardigan, and it's going to match like everything in my wardrobe, and it's going to be amazing. So I at least have that cast on, and when I am done with all the Rhinebecky shenanigans, I can maybe pick it up. It's going to happen at some point. So we are going to California for my mother-in-law's 60th birthday. November-ish time frame, and as part of that they're gonna do like family photos, so they've given us a color palette so that people don't clash with each other. And I was chatting with a few people, and I said part of me was like mad of what the heck, you're gonna tell me what to wear, like I already have to try to pack, and putting those kind of restraints on me is going to be even harder. Now I have to pack dress clothes and heels and all this other stuff. But part of me wants to obsessively knit and craft all the things so that my family can be in completely handmade stuff, or as close to it as I could get. The thought behind that being, yeah, go ahead and tell me I can't use that. So I have some, the colors are mustard, yellow, burgundy, navy, black, and gray. So my thought was, I need to make more pants for Joshua, so I'm going to sew him. I already have navy blue canvas to sew him another pair of the pants that I made in the purple canvas. So I'll make the navy ones next. And then I have some Gnome Some Dove, like a doppelganger set, and then I have one more skein, and my plan was to make a flax light for him with that, with like the contrasting color is actually mustard, so it would have mustard on the cuffs, the collar, and the bottom ribbing, and then I also was going to put like a big stripe across like the chest part, if I have enough. I should, he's tiny. And it's really like mustard, camel, and like blues is what that colorway is. So I think that would be really nice. And then it would go with the navy blue slacks. And then for Megwin, I have some navy blue jersey fabric. That's the Doodles fabric. And it has like hearts on it, but they're also navy blue. So they're just navy, it's just the fabric with like an outline that is sparkly navy blue, like glitter. So kind of a subtle pattern. And I was thinking I'd make her another of the ruffle butt dresses out of it. I can't remember the name of that pattern right now. But it's the one that I made the velvet dress out of for last year. And she really loves it, but she is starting to grow out of it. It's a little bit short. So I think I'm going to make another one of those. And then I have a plain navy fabric that I could make a moneta dress for me out of. So she would be like navy with some accents. I would be plain navy. And then my husband, if I can complete his cardigan in time, he would have a navy cardigan, and then he could wear it like either a mustard like underneath shirt. He does have one, like a t-shirt that's mustard colored. So you could wear the cardigan with a mustard colored shirt and like khaki pants or something like that. Yeah, and I think that would be actually really nice. So if we do individual shots that are like the specific families, because all of his sisters will be there with all their kids and their spouses. And yeah, so I imagine there probably will be shots of like all the kids together, all the grandkids together, all of the families separately. It's probably gonna be a whole thing. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I think it's doable if I mostly focus on sewing things. Because if I buckle down, I can get something sewn up in just like a day. Versus trying to knit everybody a sweater is much more of an undertaking. So Josh's cardigan, I am actually up to the sleeve separation point. I tried it on him. It actually fits pretty well. It fits great. So I think I have a couple of plain rows, and then I'm going to separate for the sleeves. And then from that point, I think the body should be pretty smooth sailing. It's worsted weight, so, you know, it's less knitting. And for Joshua, like a flax slate would not be that hard to do. It's probably like half a sew faded amount of knitting. So I think it's doable to get that done by like the end of November. I think that's doable. Is this thought like reaching for the moon and maybe I should dial back my expectations, or what do you think? What do you guys think? Whatever. All right, so acquisitions. So while I was in Ohio, I had a cross stitch I was working on, and I did not bring that downstairs. So again, I will share it next time. But I'm working on the spooky sampler from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, which I think I've shown before. And I have it in my Nerdbird Makery bag, which I also haven't shared, but it's really nice. And she's going to have them at Indian Tangled and Rhinebeck. But anyway, I had to go to Joann's because I didn't have all the colors of floss that I needed. And I was killing time because I got stuck in traffic, and it was like a bad accident. So traffic wasn't moving at all. So I was able to get off the highway and go to the craft store and go to Tuesday morning, which I was kind of shopping at different Tuesday mornings while I was there for art supplies for Megwin. And like paper, drawing paper and journals and stuff like that for the kids. So I went to the Joann's, and I blame Felicia for this from the Quirky Monday Craft Cast. She had shown some of this new Lion brand sock yarn, and it's called Mani Petty, and the names of the colorways are like different types of socks or hand coverings. So this one is yoga, so like yoga socks. I really wanted the crew colorway, which Kalisha knit some socks out of. It's rainbow, but like a kind of watercolory rainbow effect. They only had one skein, and I needed 2 skeins. So I figured I'd try this out and knit a pair of socks and see what I think. And if I like it, then I can hunt down some of the crew colorway at my local Joann's. But it's really affordable. So I think it was like $2.99 or $3.99 a ball. I did have a coupon, and it was funny, like the woman in front of me in line, her phone died, so she couldn't pull up the 20% off coupon on her Joann's app. And I was sitting there like pulling it up on my phone, and she's like, "Do you have the coupon?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So they scanned it for her, and then they scanned it for me. So yeah, I helped someone else save 20% on their order. But this is the mani-pedi. So this is like pink, yellow, blue, and a little bit of like highlighter green, sort of at the transition between the yellow and the blue. I'm really interested to see how this is going to knit up. If it's going to be like distinct stripes, or if it's going to be more of an ombre effect. I don't know. Never seen anyone actually knit with it other than Kalisha with those crew socks, and that was pretty defined stripes. So we'll see. So I got 2 skeins of mani-pedi, and then I got a skein of Patton's Croy sock in black because I have quite a bit of Halloween yarn, and I needed the black for contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. I have Spoopy from Jinx Yarns that I got last year, kind of right before she announced that she wasn't going to dye yarn anymore. I think she did some a run of like Christmas colors after that. And I got Christmas lights. But anyway, so I want to use this as the heels, toes, and cuffs on my Spoopy. I also have, I'm pointing to different parts of my room, but you can't see any of that. I also have some Felici in a colorway that's like green, gray, and black. It was from the last set. I think it's something to do with video games. So anyway, it's black yarn. It's black sock yarn. Whoa, it's so interesting. That's what that's for. And then my one and only purchase at Wool Gathering, there was a woman at the Good For You booth that had an early bird discount on yarn. So for people that were there like the first couple of hours of the first day, she had yarn on sale for $5 a skein for hand-dyed yarn. For kettle dyed yarn that she dyes. So this is Kettle Steps, and it is 40% superwash merino, 40% baby llama, 20% nylon. It is luxurious. It is so soft. She is crazy. She's not crazy. She is so generous to sell it for that. I almost got multiple sweater quantities, guys, but I restrained myself only because I knew that Rhinebeck was coming. Otherwise, there would be a lot more of this in my life. She had an orange that I was very tempted by, and a brown, like a kettle dyed brown. But I went for this green because this reminds me a lot of the yarn that I knit my French toast pullover out of. But that is worsted, and this is fingering weight. So yeah, it is this beautiful Kelly green color, and it's got that really nice like tonal kettle dyed look to it. Oh my god, it's gonna make the most beautiful sweater. And this is definitely gonna be a cardigan. I'm thinking one of the ones out of Lane, but I'm not sure. It could also be Oh, I was also thinking of the Upstairs cardigan by Melissa Alexander Loomis, who's Skadanigans. She just released that pattern, and it is beautiful. And I thought I could do a Lucky Charms version. So I could do this as the body, and then it has some like contrasting stripes on the yoke, just tiny ones that are mini skeins. And I was going to use, I have some skeins left from Mothy and the Squid that are in like her speckled colorways, for all the colors of the marshmallows from the Lucky Charms cereal. It would be so fun. So that might have to happen. It might have to be my Lucky Charms sweater, and it would be really warm with all of these, all the llama, merino and baby llama. I think that would work. Melissa, if you watch my podcast, and I don't remember if you subscribe or not, but we chat on Instagram, so would this work for your sweater? I might just have to ask her if that would, if she thinks it would have enough structure, or if it would be too drapey. I think it would be okay. I mean, it's 40% merino and 20% nylon, so that's like 60% of pretty structural yarn. And that 40% llama shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't detract too much from it. But anyway, I don't know. I might have to swatch it and see what I think. So $20 sweater quantity. Great. Wow, so excited. Okay, and then let's start on those. I'll do this one. Yeah, I'll do those first. So Bull and Vine yarns. This one was my thank you skein for test knitting. The socks that didn't end up getting published, but Kristen said that her testers could still select a skein as a thank you for testing anyway. So I asked for Tiptoe because it's one of her colors I didn't have, and I love it so much. It was a limited edition colorway that she did for Helen Stewart's sock club. Like, it was a mystery, the Sock Society. So she dyed this colorway, and it was one that went with one of the designs. So it's a really, really light pink with gold and some raspberry speckles. And she said this one actually doesn't sell very well, which is really surprising to me because it's so beautiful. It reminds me of ballet shoes. It's like that color of a super pale pink with sort of that leathery look to it, like ballet shoes. So, Tiptoe. I love fresh yarn. It's so good. So I think that might go with my other semi-solid mauvey skeins in some sort of fadey sweater. It may not be as so faded, but it will probably be using the fade technique. And then the Gothic Yarn Club, which is now complete, and everyone should have all their skeins. This one actually came this week, so if you haven't received it yet, it's coming. This is Kathy and Heathcliff. So it almost matches my coat. It's warm caramel and like plum color. Very nice. Very nice, very nice. It would look really good with Moon Cusser. Because all I do is fade my skeins all day long. That's all I want to do, is just knit faded knit faded things. So that's that one. And then this next one, I think, will work for, what is it called? It's Stricka. It's a book I got. It has all gradients. Strick gradiente. Something like that. I'll put it up here. I can't remember. It was a Norwegian ebook that had all of the different patterns used gradient yarns. I swear it's Stricka gradiente. But it is, one of them is like an A-line top that's actually long enough to be like a tunic or a dress. And I was going to use my Huckleberry Pie, my skein of yarn I got at Vogue Knitting Live from Lavender Loon, which I think is called Seance, and then this one. They're going to be really good together. This is Carmilla. Did any of you guys watch The Muppet Show? And Gonzo had his chicken, Camilla. That's what I thought. Camilla, Camilla. It's Carmilla, not Camilla. But this is like a carmine red. Very much like an old-fashioned rose type color. It's really, really pretty. And then the last one, I'm not getting my steps in today, guys, because I decided to podcast instead. The last one is a really interesting color. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's going to be awesome. Oh, it's like candombe, which is a Malabrigo yarn I have, but that's a darker version of this, but yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so this is Manderley. So it is like overwashed mint with like a dark purple and some olive. So that is my last skein of Boulevarine. Like I said, those came in over several months and I just kept forgetting to show them to you. I put them away and I didn't show them. So now I've shown them. So now I can knit with them. I don't know where my super wool is, but you know what that looks like. I don't know where I put it at all. I'll find it. Things are a bit of a mess right now because I'm trying to reorganize. So, spoiler. Some people have posted spoilers on Instagram, but the year-long knit-along for the Harry Potter Blanket Cow that was being co-hosted by Jilly from the Knitting Broomstick podcast and Shauna of the Adelaide Cottage podcast ended the beginning of September. And so I posted my blanket picture as far as I got. I have 3 strips that go across my bed and then part of 2 more started. But I won a prize, one of the prizes. Not any of the grand prizes, but I won one of the other prizes. So Shauna gave me the choice of one of her Harry Potter Club months. She said I could do either October or November. So I chose October's, and so I just got that in the mail. And this is basically Harry Potter themed yarn, and then it also has a charm from Simply Serving? Yeah, Lindsay from Simply Serving. So if you didn't get your yarn yet, and I've already like kind of shown it down in the corner, but you might want to look away because I'm going to show the charm and the yarn now. So this is the yarn. So cool. It's like a really good Halloween color. And then this is the charm. It's kind of not picking it up because of the, there we go. Too much glare. So anyway, thank you, Shauna, for that lovely prize. I'm very excited to knit with it, and I'm so excited I won something. I don't win stuff very often. So yeah, other than that, what's been going on with me, I've pretty much covered. Need to put my room back together in this room. I never really reorganized from the moth debacle. I put up some moth traps, so clothing moth traps. They have like an attractant, pheromone attractant on them, and then they're sticky so that the moths, like the male moths, will be attracted to them and stick. And then one, you'll know that you have moths in the area, and two, they keep them out of your yarn. So I have them kind of in front of some of the cubbies. For the most part, I have my yarn put away in bags, but I do still have some that's out because I can't plastic bag everything. I just can't. But like I said, when I went through the other day, I washed everything. I heat treated everything. So we should be good to go. And all of the stuff that was moth damaged, was reskeined also and washed. I cut off the parts that were moth damaged, and I have those in bags just to be super safe that nothing's gonna spread. We're not opening that door anymore, so the kids won't let any more in. So anyway, as you can tell, it's dark. I am going to wrap it up and clean up this mess I've now made of my podcasting stuff, and get some more tea, maybe have some ice cream or something. Make sure Joshua didn't fall off the couch because he fell asleep kind of across the arm of the couch. It was really weird. And maybe listen to a podcast or something. So until next time, I hope you all get to spend some time doing the things that you love. Thank you for joining me. Make sure that you enter into the Stash Your Shelf Challenge. Anything for Q3, I probably will be doing the drawing for that this weekend. So anything up until that point when I put the mark in the thread will count. And then we will bring it home with Q4 and Christmassy or holiday type knitting, or just knitting because it's winter and it's cold and we want to. For those in the Northern Hemisphere, for those in the Southern Hemisphere, maybe you'll be knitting summery things. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm babbling now. So until next time, thanks everyone. Bye-bye. Okay. I gotta start you again. Whoa. Sorry. You got quite a spin going now. Looking pretty cool there, bud.